What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming to you once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats in our Movement Play of the Week this week for Week 4 of the 2024 National Football League season. You just heard me say the National Football League season, but for the very first time ever since we started our Movement Play of the Week, this week in Week 4, we are actually getting into a college football play and highlighting a college football player that deserves it more than I've ever seen or witnessed here in the decade plus of diving into our movement plays of the week here at Football Beyond the Stats. Ryan Williams, 17-year-old. So we're talking about a high schooler playing in college, essentially. I don't think he turns 18 until like February or something. Most people will know that I don't get an opportunity to watch a lot of college football because I do get really, really, really into the National Football League and professional football. But I do pay attention from afar, obviously, because many of these players, especially on this football field with Alabama versus Georgia matched up against one another in the SEC this past weekend. Ryan Williams shocked the world. 17-year-old Ryan Williams shocked the world with not a walk-off winner, but close enough because it was one of those back and forth battles, especially down the stretch, one of the craziest endings you will see. I did have an opportunity to watch most of the fourth quarter because I had a bunch of people sending me messages here as this game was unfolding. And really, what you're going to see from Ryan Williams is a skill and a maturity that just shows us that the sky is the limit for a guy like this. When a dude is 17, behaving against other young guys, of course, other young fellas who are still evolving within their movement skill craft, but shows a maturity when he's competing against these players and these guys who maybe are a little bit more physically mature. You know, at 6 foot, 175 pounds, Ryan Williams isn't all that physically imposing. But what we saw him doing, highlight in and highlight out on Saturday night and so far throughout the course of this college football season, it certainly has made me take notice. There were a number of plays that he made on Saturday, only one of which that we're going to highlight, that just made you wonder and think, like, what is this going to turn into later on? We're talking about a guy that, as a college football freshman, a true freshman, again, 17 years old, hasn't even really begun to completely understand the game. But what he does is just show up and make plays. So without further ado, let's get into this. We're going to watch it through. This is the longest highlight I could find from someone else that had taken it from ABC, ESPN. And we're going to watch it through in case you haven't seen it just yet. Again, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game, just over 2 minutes. Alabama, having been ahead for the majority of the game, all of the game up until this point, and Milroe finds his guy, Ryan Williams, his guy being his guy for just a short period of time here, because I don't know when Ryan Williams would have gotten on campus in Alabama, but he obviously is making a name for himself and setting a legacy with this nasty move. Obviously, after a catch, pulls out the the mouth guard, the mouthpiece on his way to pay dirt. We're going to see it a couple of times through here, but let's go ahead and watch it at 50% speed. Obviously, right off the bat, we're not seeing the cleanest, crisp, most fluid of routes by Ryan Williams. But what we do see is adaptability within adaptability. And there have been a lot of players in college football who have been highly deserving, probably on certain weeks, of being awarded our movement play of the week. And this year, more than any other, with our theme of riding the wave, this play just happened to be the one that stuck out to be the first. And I think it's a rightful recipient of that, because when we think about that surfer wave analogy and that relationship, that then has an analogous one to what happens on an American football field. We see the surfer interacting with the wave, where the wave is testing and teasing and showing something about that person's skill set, about their own style, their own way of doing, being, and acting. And that's really what we see from Ryan Williams here as well. We see him just kind of finding his way. And that's the cool thing as a 17-year-old playing against other adults. I don't know how that corner, like Ryan Williams can't buy cigarettes or a lottery ticket, but what he can do now, granted, as an Alabama football player and a star at that now, a superstar in the making and a superstar kind of defined on Saturday night, he probably can find some cigarettes if he'd like to. But I think what we see here is him just kind of interacting in this really playful, really carefree type of way where he's just playing backyard ball. His quarterback, number 4, seeing he's got single coverage, he knows he's going to have a chance with the guy who's been showing and shining all game long and really all season long, the way that it sounds and looks to me, because I don't really watch all that much college football. Now, I apologize for the graininess here in the video, but because, of course, this is third hand, someone else, I don't even know exactly who took it, was able to take this clip from ABC and ESPN, so hopefully we don't get overridden by some copyrights. So you're getting some third hand, but go ahead and watch it back through on multiple places that you'll be able to find it after the fact, if you can't see the granular nuances that I'm hoping that you do. A few things that we pick out: corners and defensive backs in college football. I think what we see more often than not is them looking for hands to try to look back for the ball. But what we're going to see from the other view is that because the corner doesn't actually get his head and body turned early enough, he isn't as attuned or sensitive. And we're going to see that it's actually Ryan Williams who set this up, who deceived the corner in this way, because of the late head and eye turn to locate the ball. Ryan Williams is able to make the adjustments to the ball that the corner just is unable to. He, as you can see, kind of flaring around, and we got to think that surfer wave relationship is happening for both players, right? It's problem and solution dynamics coming together in this intertwined, interwoven, mutual and reciprocal way. But what we see from these interactions is that one player is much more willing in the pressure and anxiety of the moment, i.e. Ryan Williams, of finding his way in his functional fit, his practical, useful, relevant fit with what that wave is offering us. And that's really, this ability to contort and change one's body position and angle in order to adjust to the ball. This is something that I feel as though can be taught, developed, and ultimately a skill that can be evolved and adapted. But Ryan Williams is 17 years old, so we're seeing a natural, innate ability here that can be harnessed even further as we watch it play out. Right? We cannot underscore, and we're going to see it from a really cool angle coming up right after this, so I'm not going to belabor it right here. But his ability to stay adaptable moment to moment in coordinating, controlling, and organizing this functional relationship is what's really cool. And then we look at him changing his body posture and ability to hold and control and stabilize those forces after this leap and jump, where his legs are spread, as you can see right there in this scissor-like action, and all while keeping a focus in an attention on the ball and on obviously bringing it in. But once he does, spinning and turning in the air and then getting right back in that intentional aim to act, which is the play isn't over. Yes, I made this circus grab and I've picked up a first down, almost got my team to field goal range, as you can see it here right beyond the 40. But Ryan Williams is thinking for more. He's playing backyard football right now, and right now it's him 1v2 against him and two Georgia Bulldog defensive backs. And now the really spectacular, really splendid surfer wave interaction that we're about to find. He goes to exploit this gap, but he's perceiving to act, acting to perceive, but with an emphasis and intentional aim to deceive. Okay. So let's not get it twisted. Yes, it's going to emerge in the moment. He's going to come to that wave break and interact with it in this way. But he is attempting to bring these two defensive backs, 4 and 42, together and make them look silly, put them on his poster with this nasty slice and spin move as he brings them to this converging point. Like, this to me is something that he certainly has learned and developed this ability to deceive other participants, other players on a field. There is no doubt, because you can tell this is intentional. He goes and hits this gap hard, brings them together, and when he has them where he wants them, spins from inside back out, right? And you can see that there's nothing technically sound or proficient about this. This is actually somewhat of a dangerous body posture and position that he slices in, but he leans in on it hard, so he gives himself enough momentum to pull himself out. And look at him look at both guys there. We're going to see it again from that other angle, and which is like, he's almost relishing in his work right here. That's the playful nature, again, of a 17-year-old, but of somebody who is just has this form of life where they're just out there free flowing. And that to me embodies that playful surfer interaction. Runs those two guys into each other. Sorry, I think I said that Humphrey was number 42. He's actually number 12. And then now, as he gets the edge and gets the corner, he hits the gas pedal out of this. And this is against the defensive back, 1v1 down a sideline, an easy thing that you can train, just even going from, let's call it here in a player, back turned, turn to run, and he runs with 4 and beats him to the corner, beats him to the edge, beats him to the sideline down the 20. And once he knows he has these at the right, pulls out the mouthpiece, pulls out the mouth guard, and gets to celebrate in the end zone, obviously, with the Alabama Crimson Tide fans. We're going to get into the next view here if I can. And, because I think what you guys are seeing is hopefully some of this surfer wave interaction taking hold, and you can see the problem solution dynamics. Like I said earlier, 4 knows he has his guy 2 1-on-1 here, top of the screen to the field side, right? He's got all the field to work with. That defensive back, who's going to be a player here coming up in this mix, is just not over enough, whether it's based on tactics or whether it's based on the way that he was unfortunately playing it, even though Ryan Williams had been scorching Georgia all game long. I want to point out something here. This isn't the angular view that we're necessarily going to see it from as well, but you can see how late 12 Humphrey is to get his head and body turned, and he's in a compromising position. Now he's along for the ride. It's a game of adaptability, inadaptability with adaptability, and 2 beats 4 and 12 like a drum. Okay. Here's the view that I'm looking for, because here's the time that we get a chance to see some of the interactions and some of the things that I don't want you guys to miss. A lot of times, wide receivers, especially young ones, are just like they're telegraphing when they're going to look for the ball, when the ball is supposed to be there. But what we see from Ryan Williams is yes, he gets his early release. Okay. Let's watch him get his early release. And he gets his hands out as this feeler right away. But when he does, and he gets enough separation from Humphrey right here. I mean, we're already talking about a half a yard, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's enough. Look where Ryan Williams, and look at what he's already done here. Where is he looking? What is he looking to? He's looking to and through, but back to the quarterback, right? So he's able to have this out of his periphery ever so slightly, but he's actually acting to perceive. He's turning to look to his quarterback really, really early here. And what that does is not only give him the bead on quarterback, on Milrow, on number 4, but now Humphrey really doesn't have the faintest clue as to when the ball is coming and where it's going to be delivered, right? Like here, Williams is looking back to his quarterback and he's already setting up this deceptive dance. 12, Humphrey knows that the ball isn't coming yet, but he's going to have no clue as to when it's coming because let's watch Ryan Williams perceive to act, act to perceive this constant reciprocal dance. He's still looking back. Like he's giving this indicator, like I might be coming in, I might be coming out, I might be continuing to remain in my stem and moving vertical upfield. He puts his hand out again as this haptic feeler. Where is Humphrey? What is my relationship to him? Is he leaning to me? What's his speed? What do I have a feel for here? And he's playing this constant hand fight, but it isn't just in the hand fighting, it's in tapping him away. It's in getting this connection to how the opponent is behaving. And now, when he needs to, he goes to get the separation to let a guy run on by, give him the indicator that, like, I'm not slowing down, I'm not stopping, I'm remaining on a vertical upfield, all along knowing how Milrow is behaving. And even though we can't see Milrow here, we can think about where he might be in his drop, what he might be looking at, and how he might be positioning his body in order to deliver the football. All the while, Ryan Williams is connected to that specifying information that 12 is not able to detect at all. And if 12 were to look and turn back for the ball earlier, it's likely that Ryan Williams were to turn his head back upfield so he's able to get a burst of speed and gain even more separation. So we can kind of think about these nuances here, and it's really cool, evolved nuances for a 17-year-old. And then we see him once again, that really impressive motor actions, movement actions now. It's not just about the movement actions, but it's pretty cool to see this type of fluidity, this type of acrobatic circus-like action. He did it again, not only once, but on a couple of occasions. One in a nasty slice to make, I think it was actually number 12, Humphrey miss in the open field after a short route cut. And then he did it again across the middle of the field in an acrobatic play. But look at that I mentioned earlier. Okay. This gap affordance that he sees. Now, one could argue that he would be acting, wondering if the what is that's unfolding, this gap that exists between these two defenders that he is perceiving, like let's look at it like right here, right? That gives him his alleyway to head across the field and through that gap, that he might have been perceiving it, selecting upon it, and acting upon it in thoughts or intentions that 12 and 4 won't be able to converge quickly enough, and he'd be able to head just right across the field, right through that gap. And maybe he was, but I think early enough here, he got an indication that the two are going to converge, and they would converge in a way that would bring him down. So what does he do? He continues to act in that way. He doesn't look at either one now. And he's more so probably has a sense, a perceptual, improprioceptive feel in kinesthetic sense as to where they are. Because he doesn't actually look to them. And I'm not even sure if out of his periphery, unless he has really sensitive and attuned periphery here, that he'd be able to take either one of these in. Like, this is a pretty wide peripheral vista, if you will, to expect him to perceive. Now, he might, so I don't want to not give credit where credit's due here, but it's more likely he can feel them. He can hear them from an auditory sense and information detection. He can sense them more than anything. And remember, perception isn't just about visual perception. It's auditory, it's haptic, kinesthetic. There's this sixth sense of perception. And so once he knows that they are converging, he throws on the brakes, drives and runs them into each other in sort of a, let's say, Dante Hall, Barry Sanders type of fashion, setting defenders up against one another. Highly evolved, highly skillful stuff here. And really playing chess when others are playing checkers. And for a 17-year-old to do it on a college football Saturday. Now, granted, it would be even more impressive when he does this in the National Football League level. But if he's doing this on Saturdays right now, guys and gals, he's going to be doing it on Sundays. And like Jeremiah Smith, true freshman from Ohio State, he's a guy, Ryan Williams, that I believe might actually show the ability and the skill set very similar to maybe a Devontae Smith at Alabama and what he did with his slight build. Like, be true to who you are, be true to what your skill is built on. And it's built on adaptability, it's built on perceptual sense, it's built on this intention of making some guys look silly, making plays, this highly sensitive awareness and what the wave offers to you. Really cool stuff. I could watch this on repeat. I already obviously have alongside of you guys. Hopefully you can see as to why I might have named this the very first college football player in play to be our movement play of the week featured at Football Beyond the Stats. Really cool stuff. I'm going to be paying attention a lot more to Ryan Williams over the remainder of the season. And of course, he can't enter the league for another couple of years, unfortunately to him, because I think he probably could do it. Definitely a one and done type of thing for sure at bare minimum. So by the time he's 18, he, I think, would have a movement skill set that would be ready to enter the National Football League. But, you know, that being said, every young player is going to have their welcome to the NFL moments, and there still will be unsolvable problems for those players. And he being Ryan Williams in this case, can still learn and grow and evolve. And that's the thing that I'm really anxious to see as he interacts across situations and across conditions, how that movement skill does continue to adapt and evolve. So Ryan Williams, young cat, young fella, go get more of yours. You're going to have your opportunities. I have a feeling you're probably going to get some of that name and likeness money here after that, which what unfolded this past Saturday for you. Can't wait to see what happens with him. Hopefully you guys can see why I took the break from a National Football League Sunday in order to feature a college football player. So for Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, Football Beyond the Stats, this is another one of our movement plays of the week. I will see you guys in week 5. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, share it with your people, comment, and the like. I'll talk to you all next